The rain fell like a quiet confession against the old house. Steady and unrelenting, Dr. Evelyn Hart stood at the edge of the worn porch, staring out across the fog-drenched woods that surrounded her family estate. She hadn't been here in 15 years, not since the night her mother disappeared without a word. The house, known locally as Ashmore Hollow, had belonged to the Hart family for generations. Its windows were dark, its walls heavy with silence. Yet as Evelyn stepped inside, a soft chill brushed her skin. As though the house recognized her return, she dropped her keys on the dusty table and whispered, "Home again." But the silence that followed wasn't empty. It answered. A faint whisper, too soft to understand, drifted from somewhere deep within the walls. Evelyn froze. She listened, breath held, heart hammering. But the sound was gone. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe just the house settling after years of neglect. Still, a sneeze prickled the back of her neck. She shook it off and moved upstairs. Her mother's old room was exactly as she remembered and touched. The wallpaper had peeled in thin strips, revealing faint words beneath the paint. Like someone had once written messages on the walls before covering them up. She knelt and brushed her fingers over one of the lines. Under the dust, a sentence emerged. The first whisper reveals what the eyes can't see. A shiver ran through her. That night, the storm grew violent. Thunder cracked like the sky itself was breaking open. Evelyn couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded deliberate, every gust of wind like a breath too close to her ear. T to 37 am. She heard it again, the whisper. This time clear, feminine, soft, familiar. Evelyn. She sat up sharply, eyes wide. Who's there? No reply. Only the rhythmic dripping of rain through the ceiling. She grabbed a flashlight and followed the sound downstairs. It led her to the basement door, one that had always been locked when she was a child. Tonight, it hung slightly open. A musty cold draft crept out. She hesitated, then stepped inside. The basement was darker than she remembered. Or maybe her mind had blocked it out. Cobwebs hung like veils from the ceiling. Her flashlight beam caught old furniture draped in white sheets, broken mirrors, and in the far corner a small wooden chest. The whispers grew louder as she approached. Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside, she found a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. Her mother's handwriting unmistakable. The top letter was dated October 3, 2008, the night her mother vanished. Evelyn unfolded it slowly. The ink had bled with time, but one line stood out clearly. If you hear the first whisper, don't ignore it. It means the truth has started to wake. A loud thud came from behind her. She spun around, the flashlight flickered. Someone or something was standing at the top of the stairs, a silhouette, still, watching. Who's there? She called out. No answer. Just the soft echo of breathing. Then the basement door slammed shut, plunging her into darkness. Her flashlight went out. The whisper returned. Closer now, circling her. Evelyn, find the truth. Find me. She stumbled backward, her foot striking the chest. She grabbed it instinctively, clutching the letters to her chest. Mom? She whispered. Is that you? The voice stopped, then faintly, a reply. Look behind the mirror. Evelyn turned her flashlight back on. The beam cut through the dust, landing on a cracked mirror leaning against the wall. Its surface shimmered faintly, as if it were breathing. She approached slowly, her reflection wavering. And then just for a second another face appeared beside hers. Her mother's. Evelyn gasped and stumbled back, the mirror shattering to the floor. Behind it, the wallpaper had peeled away, revealing an old wooden panel with a strange symbol carved into it. A spiral inside a circle, and beneath it, a word, remember. Her pulse pounded. The whispers had stopped, but the air buzzed with electricity. Like the house itself was waiting for her next move. She looked back at the letters in her hand. The second one was addressed directly to her, in her mother's precise script. Evelyn, if you are reading this, then you've heard it too. The whisper is not a warning. It's an invitation. Lightning flashed through the broken window, illuminating the spiral symbol once more, and for an instant, Evelyn thought she saw movement inside the wall. She realized then that the whisper wasn't coming from the house. It was coming from within her. Morning came reluctantly to Ashmore Hollow. The storm had passed, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than thunder. Evelyn sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by the letters she'd found in the basement. The sunlight through the cracked window cast pale stripes across the pages. Like the house was still trying to keep secrets. She picked up the second letter. Her mother's handwriting, elegant yet trembling, covered the page. Evelyn, if you hear the whispers, do not be afraid. They are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to remind you. There are memories you've forgotten, things I made you forget for your own safety. Evelyn frowned. Forgotten? She whispered. What are you talking about, Mom? In the corner of the room sat an old cassette player, one her mother used to record notes for her research. Evelyn reached for it, her fingers brushing off years of dust. She pressed play. The tape crackled with static. Then a faint voice emerged, her mother's. Experiment Day 39. The phenomenon persists. The whispers grow stronger near the west wall of the house. They respond to emotion. Fear, sorrow, and regret seem to amplify them. A pause. Then a whisper in the background, soft, like a breath against the microphone. They're not ghosts, they're memories. Evelyn's stomach dropped. Her mother had known about the voices. She had studied them. But what did she mean by made you forget? The third letter held the answer. When you were 6, you heard them too. You told me the walls were talking. I thought it was your imagination. Until you said their names. Evelyn froze. Names? Her hands shook as she turned the page. You spoke of people who had once lived in this house, people who were never mentioned in front of you. When you said my father's name, I knew something in this place. Remembered what we tried to bury. A chill crawled up Evelyn's spine. Her grandfather had died before she was born. Or so she'd been told. She stood, pacing, the house creaking beneath her feet. So this is what you were hiding, Mom? Some kind of living memory? As if in answer, a cold draft swept through the room. The whisper returned, closer this time. Evelyn. She froze. What do you want from me? The voice sighed, neither male nor female, more like the echo of many voices layered together. Remember what she did. The floorboards groaned, and the house seemed to exhale. The whisper faded, replaced by a faint ticking sound. Evelyn traced it to the study, her mother's old office. On the desk sat a cracked metronome, still ticking slowly, even though it wasn't wound. Beside it, a photograph, her mother, her grandfather, and another woman. Someone Evelyn didn't recognize. On the back, in her mother's handwriting, A. Lara Hart, 1962. My sister. Evelyn's breath hitched. She didn't have an aunt, her mother was an only child. Or so she'd been told. Suddenly, the pieces began to shift in her mind like a puzzle coming to life. The missing sister, the erased memories, the whisper that called her name. The first whisper had been her mother's warning. The second was someone else's truth. As night fell again, Evelyn returned to the basement with the photograph and the letters. She couldn't shake the feeling that her mother's disappearance and Alar's existence were connected. She pressed her hand against the wall where the spiral symbol was carved. Who are you? She whispered. The air seemed to pulse under her palm, and then faintly another whisper came. We are what she hid from you. Evelyn stepped back, heart pounding. Mom, is that you? The voice changed, softer now, younger. No, I'm her sister. The light flickered violently. The spiral glowed faintly blue, and the wall began to tremble, dust falling like snow. Part of the panel cracked open, revealing a hidden space within. Inside, Evelyn found a small leather-bound book. The initials on the cover made her blood run cold. E.A. Lara Hart. She opened it carefully. The pages were filled with sketches of strange symbols, transcriptions of whispers, and one chilling line repeated again and again. She stole my voice to keep the truth buried. Evelyn's reflection stared back at her from the broken mirror nearby. Only this time, it wasn't her reflection. It was another woman's face, older, colder, and it was smiling. The whisper came again, this time clear as day. Now that you've found the book, she can't silence us anymore. The mirror shattered completely, spraying shards across the floor. From deep within the walls, a faint heartbeat began to echo. Slow, steady, alive. Evelyn clutched the journal to her chest. Whatever her mother had done to protect her, it was unraveling now, and the whispers were waking up. The wind howled through the trees outside as night fell again over Ashmore Hollow. Evelyn sat on the cold floor of the basement, the journal clutched tightly in her trembling hands. Every page seemed to hum faintly, as if alive, as if her aunt's voice had been captured between the lines. Across the room, the spiral symbol on the wall pulsed softly, glowing like a heartbeat. She whispered, Alara, what did my mother do to you? The air stirred, and a faint voice replied from the walls. No longer just a whisper, but a presence. She silenced me, to protect herself. And you, Evelyn stood, her pulse racing. Why? What was she protecting me from? From the truth, the voice murmured. From me. The journal's final pages were brittle, some torn, others stained with what looked like ash. Evelyn carefully turned them, reading her aunt's last entries aloud. The house isn't haunted. It's a vessel, a place that remembers. It absorbs emotion, pain, fear, and echoes it back as whispers. We hearts have always been bound to it. Mother called it the family gift. I call it the curse. Another line followed, hurried and desperate. Evelyn can hear them too. If she learns the truth before she's ready, they'll take her like they took me. Evelyn's throat tightened. The letters, the whispers, her mother's disappearance, all of it was tied to this curse. And she was next. The whisper returned, closer now, vibrating through the air. You can end it, Evelyn. You just have to open the wall. The spiral symbol began to glow brighter, the wood cracking around it. Dust drifted like smoke, and a faint light bled through the gaps. Evelyn hesitated. If I open it, what happens to me? The voice paused. Then softly, you'll remember everything. Her heart pounded. She pressed her hand to the spiral, and the wall began to splinter. A blinding light flooded the basement, forcing her to cover her eyes. When it faded, the room was gone. She stood in the same house but years earlier. Everything was whole, the walls new, the air warm, and in front of her stood two women, her mother and her aunt Alara, arguing. It wasn't a memory. It was the past. Evelyn's too young, her mother said, voice trembling. She's starting to hear them again. Alara's tone was cold. You can't silence her like you silenced me. I had no choice. Her mother cried. You let them in, Alara. You made the house wake up. They were already awake, Alara hissed. You're just too afraid to listen. The argument ended in a flash of light. Alara stepped toward the spiral, touching it. The ground shook. The whispers rose in a furious chorus. Her mother screamed, pulling Evelyn, a 6-year-old child, away from the wall. Then, silence. When Evelyn opened her eyes again, Alara was gone. The wall sealed itself shut. The vision flickered and vanished. She was back in the present, the wall before her trembling, the whispers swirling around her in hundreds of overlapping voices. She finally understood. Her mother hadn't killed Alara. She had trapped her, sealed her spirit inside the house to contain the curse, and now, by reopening the wall, Evelyn had set her free. The spiral cracked completely. A rush of cold air burst through, and a shadow stepped out, faint, translucent, yet heartbreakingly human. Alara, her voice was calm now, no longer whispering, clear, mournful, ancient. Thank you, Evelyn. You've given me my voice back. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. What happens now? Alara smiled faintly. Now the house can rest. She reached out her hand, cold but gentle, and touched Evelyn's cheek. For a moment, the whispers stopped. The entire house exhaled. Then Alara's figure began to dissolve into light, the glow spreading through the walls like sunrise after a century-long night. The next morning, the air in Ashmore Hollow was still and clear. No whispers, no voices, no storm. Evelyn stood outside, watching as the old house seemed to breathe its last sigh. The windows reflecting the morning sun instead of shadows. She held the journal in her hands. On the final page, new words had appeared, written in fresh ink. The first whisper is never a warning. It's a memory asking to be heard. Evelyn closed the book and looked back at the house one last time. For the first time in decades, Ashmore Hollow was silent, peaceful, but deep in her heart, she knew the whispers hadn't truly died. They had simply moved into her. A faint wind brushed her ear. Remember me. Evelyn smiled sadly. I will.